We're going to do bonds today, and I know it's everybody's favorite topic. And I have some information already and stuff already in place. But the bonds we're going to have is a $100,000 bond, 10% interest, 12% effective rate. Now remember, anytime the effective rate is greater than the stated rate, it will be a discount. And these bonds are going to be paid semi-annually, and they're for 5-year bonds. We're also going to do premiums later, and probably in another video, and then also the straight line methods for both discounts and premiums as well, and redemption. So for this one, we will find out, first we have to find out how much we're actually going to be paying dividends. So we would take the 100,000 times the 10% times 0.5, because remember it's a half a year, and if we do that, we know that it's going to be $5,000. Okay, so then we'll go to the present value tables. And what we'll find there, and this is the present value of an annuity because you get that every 6 months. Now remember, we use the effective rate, which would be the 12%, but we want to divide it by 2, so we want 6% for 10 pay periods. And you'll see that's 7.360087. And this one will be the 100,000 times, now this is the present value of a payment or single payment, and so that's table 2 more likely, and that would be the 0.558395. Okay, and I put those in the wrong column, so I'll move those over there. Okay, so over here we want to equal round, and we would have the 5,000 times the 7.360087, comma 0, so that gives us $36,800. And this one is equal round. Probably don't really need the round function on this one, but I'll good habit. 100,000 times 0.558395, comma 0, and that gives you 55,840, which we then add those up, and the present value then of the bond is $92,640. So that is what we put in here for the carrying value to start with, is $92,640. That's my very beginning, and my discount then would be the 100,000 minus the $92,640. So the unamortized discount is $7,360. Okay. Now use the present value tables. The interest is an annuity, so it's table 4, and the others are table 2, which is a one-time payment. Okay. And you cut the interest payments in half and double the periods. So it's 12%. And the 10% is only used to calculate the interest that you pay. So like here is the 100,000, and we'll put an F4 there, times the 10%, and I want that anchored, and then we'll take that times 1/2, because that is the payment we're going to make all the way through. So that's why it's 5,000. Okay, the interest expense is equal to the carrying value times the effective rate times 0.5. And for that, we probably need to use the round function, because we could get strange numbers otherwise. And that gives you 5558. The discount to be amortized is the difference between these two. This is the effective interest method, so we just simply take the difference there. The unamortized discount, well, we got rid of that one, minus the 558, because that's how much we've amortized. That needs to be 0 when we get done. And this one, we add the unamortized, the discount to be amortized, because we want that to equal 100,000 when we're done. If you do that and you copy this down, then hopefully it should work. Now, you notice in the last one here we have $1, and that's because of rounding. So for that, we simply need to increase 5944. We have to type it in, and that takes care of it. That's because of rounding. If you carried the pennies in there, it would be different. Okay, so that's how you do your table. Then what we'll do is for the cash amount, we take cash. Well, that's the 92,640. The discount on bonds payable is the 7360, and of course your bonds payable is the 100,000. Bonds payable is always at face value. Remember, they usually come in $1,000 denominations. And then for the first one on 6/30 at 12, we have interest expense of 55,558. The discount will be a credit for 558, and cash will be for $5,000. Okay, that is your discount. That's how you calculate your tables. It's semi-annual, and this is your entries for this part of it. Okay, and then these entries here would just continue on these same entries over and over again. You just simply work your way down the list here. It's like in 1231, interest expense would be 5592, discount is 592, and cash is 5,000. Okay, so you just continue down, and then when you finish up, everybody's happy. Okay, looks like I'm going to get to the premium. Okay, for the premium, it works the same way. The market rate this time, or the effective rate. The market rate's another way of saying the effective rate. It also is called, sometimes it's called the yield rate. Notice on this one, it's less than a stated rate, and if that happens, you know it's going to be a premium. Okay. We again know that it's going to be $5,000 that we're paying because nothing changed. So we would have the 100,000 times the 10% times 0.5 is equal to the $5,000. So nothing's changed there. So that's the same as it always has been. Then what we'll have on this one here, though, it's going to be the discount rate's going to be different. This will be the $5,000 times. Now this time we want to use 4.5% for 10 pay periods because it's still a 10-year bond. 10 pay periods, not 10-year bond, but 10 pay periods. So that's 7.912718, and I guess I either wiped it out or forgot to put that in here. Then this is going to be the 100,000 times 0.643928. Okay. Remember, we use the half of the market rate or half of the stated rate. So we use equal round. The 5,000 times 7.912718, comma 0, and that should give us 39,564. And over here is equal to the round. The 100,000 times 0.643928, and comma 0, and that gives you 64,397. Add those up and gives you 103,957. Okay, so the carrying value again will be the 103,957. The unamortized, oh, forgot to change that, didn't I? This is the premium. And this will be different too. This is the PREMIUM, premium to be amortized. So you notice it's the same chart. Just changed the names to protect the innocent. Okay, so this is going to be equal to now this one minus the 100,000. And I changed it different because I don't want negative numbers. You could use the absolute value sign, but that's okay. Okay, so we have this one again is equal to 100,000, just like before, times the 10% times 0.5. And again, it's the $5,000, just like we had before, so that hasn't changed any. interest expense, this case though, is going to be still times the carrying value times the 9% times 0.5. Because the interest expense is always the market value times your carrying value. So that gives you 322. And again, we want this subtracted. So it's 39.57. Because again, this needs to be 0 when we get done. Now, premiums are a little different because remember, discounts we added, but the premiums we're going to subtract. And the way you can remember that is that we always want to get to the face value when everything's said and done. So that's why that's how you can tell. If you're above face value to start with, you subtract it. Otherwise, you add it. Now again, you notice that we're off a little bit. And that's because I should be off a little more than that. And I forgot to do the round function on this. So that's easy to take care of though. Okay. And I'll just copy that down. So now see we're off $2. And you just make this one 45.20 to make everything work nice and balanced. Okay. So the cash is the same way. It's equal to what you received, is 103. Now premiums are a credit, so I'll go on the credit side, and that will be for 39.57. And of course, your bonds payable is still your 100,000 because that doesn't change any. And this is done the same way. Equal interest expense is 46.78, but premiums are a debit, so that's for 322. And the cash is the 5,000. Okay, and you would continue on with this as you go through. Okay, so to recap a little bit, remember the discount up here. Use your tables. Use the same tables for these, except on the tables, use the market rate. And if it's quarterly, you divide it by 4. And then multiply the time period by 4. So you have to look at the time period you're talking about. But always use the market or the effective rate for the tables. The stated rate is only used to calculate the interest paid. Okay, so that should be it for this one, and we will see what happens with the discounts.